Good morning, good morning, good morning. You speaking with a very hungover Mr. Ryan Paisley. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of December. It's obviously me and Mr. Michael Brown with the morning blast. Morning, Paul. Morning, Zach. Morning, Steve. Morning, Dominic. Um, yeah, I'm really, really hungover. And also, I did not win the Cigar Smoker of the Year award, which I'm very, very disappointed at. Not even Best Newcomer. Mr. Michael Brown, come on down.
Good morning,
Although
Ryan. Good morning, everyone.
um, some people will be very, very happy to hear that on my way into the Cigar Smoker of the Year award last night, in the lift I bumped into Mr. Ray Winston, and of course I made him aware of who I am. He was delighted to meet me in the lift going upstairs.
Good. I mean, they do often say that celebrities are particularly nice to children, so hopefully,
Wow, wow, very good. On that note, let me do the legals. Oh, that was very good for you, and I'm very annoyed that it was so good.
I'm surprised
Um,
by how sort of fresh you're sounding this morning,
oh
actually,
no,
Ryan.
I'm not. I'm not fresh at all.
Oh,
I
right.
woke up. I woke up covered in KFC. Anyway,
I
um,
really wondered where that was going for a second.
nothing discussed on this on this Spaces session constitute or trading in, or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ Global Limited, traders PIQ or PIQ Suite, or indeed its hosts, which includes a very very amazing Mr. Michael Brown and a very very hungover Mr. Ryan Paisley. I like the fact that Rich Bernard has joined us, who was there last night, championing
And,
me and cheering me on.
well,
Go on.
and so I hear he managed to tie his own bow tie this year as well.
He did indeed. I was very happy for him.
You didn't need to take your stepladder along.
I oh, moving on. Come on. What happened yesterday?
um, Not a lot, to be honest. France is still a
Oh,
complete shambles.
tune in tomorrow.
No, there are a few things to get through. Good morning, everybody. It was a positive day in terms of equities at the very least. The S&P gaining about 0.2%, closing at another record high. The Nasdaq up by 1.1%, also notching a fresh record high. Markets elsewhere a little bit choppy, largely giving back some of the moves that we saw on Friday, with selling seen across the Treasury curve as yields rose by a couple of basis points at the long end. The front end selling off a little bit more aggressively than that. And we also saw the dollar gaining relatively broadly, with the dollar index up about 2/3 of 1% to an intraday high of 106.70. Of course, the euro, the worst G10 performer yesterday, down by about 0.8%, back below the 105 mark. And of course, this comes as markets remain very, very jittery indeed about the situation in France. Of course, yesterday we had news that Michel Barnier, the French president, is forcing through the French budget using his executive powers. That has unsurprisingly led to the left wing parties in France putting forwards a motion of no confidence, and also unsurprisingly led to Marine Le Pen and the National Rally deciding to back that motion of no confidence. So it looks like the French government could be about to collapse. Just on that, in terms of the collapse and what could happen next, it's worth noting that there actually cannot be elections in France, or legislative elections, I should say, until next summer, because of the French constitution, which says there has to be a period of 12 months between elections. So if the government does collapse, it's actually a very, very sort of sticky situation whereby Macron needs to therefore nominate someone else to be prime minister. Either he puts forward Barnier again, which, there's effectively no point in doing so because he clearly can't command a majority. He puts forward someone else, but to be honest, I don't think there is anyone else, certainly no one else that would want the job. Or we just go along in this kind of political stasis whereby France spends enough to sort of keep essential functions of the state running, but isn't able to spend anything on political ambitions, and then we kind of go nowhere until elections next summer. Le Pen was also talking about the potential yesterday for Macron to resign, and that being a so-called third option. And in terms of those pathways, let's be honest, there's absolutely no chance that that's going to happen anytime soon. But of course, the market is concerned about the situation, to say the least. In terms of other bits and bobs from yesterday, on the data front, we had the latest ISM manufacturing data out of the United States. The ISM index rising to 48.4 in November from a prior 46.5. Pleasingly, the sub indices that accompanied that report showed the prices paid metric coming down to 50.3, so an easing in inflationary pressures. Also showed the new orders gauge rising back into expansionary territory at 50.4, so perhaps a sign that the manufacturing slowdown in the States may be beginning to bottom out. Other bits and bobs of news flow, not sure whether he's on the call or whether he's still on the beach, but OpenAI, for Tom Talk Car's
He is. I
benefit.
can see him.
Oh, he is here. Oh, good. Well, OpenAI, of course, they are becoming a for-profit company. They are now exploring how they can add adverts to their various AI products. Quite amusing that they all, run around going, "We're doing this for the good of humanity. We're not doing it to make money." And now you want to make a mint out of it. Fair enough, but just be honest and upfront with us in the first place, you conning bastards. Anyway, moving on. In terms of China, the US have, and I think you alluded to this yesterday, actually, Ryan, also for Tom's benefit, the US have tightened various curbs on exports of AI memory and semiconductor tools to China. This includes 27 different types of chip design and 140 Chinese entities, curbing the sales of high bandwidth memory and chip making equipment. That may as well be written in Chinese, for all I can discern in terms of meaning from that. We also had news just a few minutes ago from China that they have banned exports of germanium and gallium to the United States. Again, if anyone knows what you use those for, then please send me a postcard. Sticking in the tech space, Intel, their CEO has retired. Well, he hasn't really retired. He's been told to retire because the board fell out with him over the fact that the company was making pretty much no progress at all in terms of turning around, even though they have just been given $8 billion worth of grants by the US government. We had a bit of Fed speak yesterday. Chris Waller, one of the Fed governors, he was saying that he's leaning towards a December rate cut, absent a data surprise, that there's still some distance from neutral, and that he expects cuts to continue back to neutral over the next year or so.
Is
Oh, go on.
Waller a voter?
He is indeed, yeah, permanent voter. Slightly more dovish than perhaps some were expecting, but I don't think it's much surprise. We did, though, see markets move from about a 60% to now about an 80% chance of a 25 basis point cut at the December FOMC meeting. And of course, that is likely, or those odds are likely to be significantly altered potentially by the jobs data that we get out of the States on Friday. And last but by no means least, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, she is going to China in mid-January for talks with the Chinese finance minister. Let's hope to God. Oh Jesus! Let's hope to God she is not asking him for any tips on how to run an economy. But we will see what happens with that one. And that is pretty much a lot from me this morning.
I'll be honest. I've tried reading Zach's headlines with one eye closed, and I can't. So you might as well crack on.
Oh well, I suppose all that KFC is getting in the way, is it?
Well, yeah, it pretty much is. Although, no, I did very well not getting too pissed before the awards, and then the wheels fell off.
Oh, dearie me. Right. Well, to be honest with you, I haven't got actually that much to add in terms of the day ahead.
Perfect.
The docket is relatively barren, to be completely honest with you.
Well. One significant headline. Well, calendar entry later on today, I
What?
believe.
Us going to the pub?
It is today, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that.
Well, that's later on, and sadly, no one else is invited, so I wasn't going to mention that. But
Yeah.
oh well.
Okay.
In terms of today, we've already had some inflation figures out of Switzerland this morning. CPI falling by 0.1% on the month. That data, of course, is for October. We also saw the annual rate of inflation at 0.7%, just a marginal uptick from the 0.6% that we saw previously. The market now pricing in about a 70-ish% chance that the Swiss National Bank deliver a 50 basis point cut at their meeting next Thursday. Although, of course, the SNB have rates at just 1%, so they are getting pretty close to that zero lower bound. In terms of the day ahead, just one notable release on the docket, and that is the JOLTS job openings data for October. Openings seen at 7.52 million from a prior 7.44 million. Bear in mind, though, that the JOLTS data, that's unlikely to be as significantly skewed by strikes and by weather as the October non-farm payrolls number was. That's because the payrolls print refers to the labour market situation as it was on the 12th of the month, or the week containing the 12th, whereas the JOLTS report pertains to the labour market situation as of the last working day of the month, by which point, obviously, we were sort of 3 or 4 weeks
This is
after
why I
Hurricane.
pay you the big bucks.
Indeed, which is diddly squat, but never mind. In terms of central bank speakers, we hear from the Fed's Goolsbee twice and the Fed's Kugler today. Of course, the Fed's pre-meeting blackout period comes into effect from Friday afternoon. The ECB's Panetta and Cipollone also on the wires this morning. And then the earnings docket, relatively quiet, although we do hear after market close this evening from Salesforce. So we will see what they have to bring later on today. And that is pretty much your lot from me this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. I look forward to seeing you later. I will buy you a couple of pints, assuming that I've sobered up by that point, and I can see. Because at the moment I can't. I've had to close both eyes at this point.
Keep our fingers crossed, shall we?
Yeah, please do. Listeners, thank you as always, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We will
Keep it
indeed.
tight.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.